everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this is episode 2 of Fitness with Julie, and today we're going to be going over a lower body workout. So in a few weeks from now we will also be doing upper body, but today we'll be focusing on deadlifts, lunges, hip thrusts, and squats as well. So this workout will be for anyone who does have access to a gym, but I'll also be showing the modified versions with household items instead of weights in case you don't own any. So let's get straight into the video. The first movement we'll be practicing are deadlifts. This is a movement that should be incorporated in every lower body workout. I'll be demonstrating how to perform one safely and effectively. So before we get started, deadlifts do work your hamstrings, which is a difficult muscle to get activated. If at any point you feel pain in your lower back, I suggest you stop and get help from a certified personal trainer so they can help you one-on-one. I say this for the deadlifts, however it does apply to every exercise I'll be showing you in this video. Let's get started. There are many different types of deadlifts, but the one we'll be practicing today are Romanian deadlifts. A Romanian deadlift is a hip hinge in motion where you are leaning forward and pushing your hips back. You are lowering yourself just past below your knees until you feel the stretch in your hamstring. You are then going back up to the starting position. While you're hinging forward, you want to make sure that your head is aligned with your spine. This is called a neutral spine. You want to make sure while you're hinging that you're not keeping your head tucked in, you're not looking straight ahead, your back is not rounded, and your back is not arched, because all of this can cause excess pain in your lower back, which can be very dangerous, especially if you're holding heavy weights. To help yourself keep a neutral spine, you want to brace your core. Bracing your core doesn't mean holding your breath like this, it just means tightening the abdominal muscles, which will then help you perform the movement with good form. Just imagine someone is getting ready to punch you in the gut. You are bracing your core, you'll be able to withstand it. Now that we went over form, let's talk about breathing. Breathing is very important while you're doing your movement because it ensures that your muscles and connective tissues get enough oxygen to help you push through your reps. For deadlifts in specific, you want to breathe in while you're hinging forward, and then while you're going back up, you want to breathe out. Let's get started on the move. Go ahead and grab your dumbbells. And don't forget, keep your feet hip width apart, tight core, and breathe. So inhale on the way down, keeping the weights close to your body, just below your knees. And exhale on the way up. Let's do one more. If you don't own any dumbbells at home, do you just not perform deadlifts? Absolutely not. You can go to your local Fitness Depot or even Amazon and buy some resistance bands. So how to use these, you'll just hold both ends, put it on the ground, and you can step on it like so, and then just perform the movement like we practiced. These resistance bands come with 3 levels, easy, medium, hard, so you can choose any one that you prefer. If you don't have resistance bands, you can also take any household item, like water bottles, cans of soup, anything you can find, and substitute the weights for these. So you'll perform the movement once again like we practiced. Just pretend these are weights, so you're keeping them close to your body. Just as effective. Before we move on, I'm just going to talk about the benefits of adding deadlifts to your workouts. So the prime working muscle groups are your hips and your hamstrings. However, once you start adding weight, it does work your whole posterior chain. That concludes it for deadlifts. The next movement that should be added to your lower body routine is squats. If you're just doing a bodyweight squat, it works your quadriceps and your core, but then once you start adding weights to it, almost every muscle in your body will be working. Squats help strengthen your knees, bones, joints, and increases your mobility and flexibility. Similarly to deadlifts, you want to keep your feet hip width apart. However, you can slightly point your toes outwards for more stability. Anything too narrow will limit the range of motion in your hips and prevent you from getting great depth. So on your descent, you also want to make sure to keep the weight on the balls and the heels of your feet. If you sense yourself switching to the weight to your toes and you're leaning forward, That'll disrupt the neutral spine, just like we talked about on the deadlifts. Now that you have the stance down, let's talk about performing the movement. So you can grab a chair, if you stand in front of it, and just pretend you're about to stand on a chair. So you bend your knees, push your hips and your glutes a bit back, and then drive yourself all the way back up. Many people complain of knee pain when performing squats. That's because they're doing it incorrectly. Here's a few reasons why. So first, instead of moving the hips back and then their knees, they lead with their knees, looking something like this. You don't want to have your knees going first and then your hips follow. They should be working together to give that proper squat form. Another reason is they have their knees caving in. While you're squatting, you really want to think of your knees pushing outwards to help you get back up, and not get back up like that. In order to prevent your knees from caving, you can widen your stance, and then it'll help you push your knees outwards. While driving upwards, you want to have that mind-muscle connection with not only your quads, but your glutes as well. You want to contract your glutes at the top without hyperextending your pelvis. That can then lead to lower back pain. Another way to avoid lower back pain is to not leave your squat with an arched back. So starting with an arched back like that can cause lower back pain. So instead, try to keep that tight core, neutral spine partnership. Another misconception about squats is that your knees shouldn't go past your toes. Your knees are meant to carry heavy loads, so that's not something you should fear. Let's go ahead and grab our weights. The squat I'll be doing is a goblet squat, in which you keep the weight at chest level. You do the squat just as you practiced. And while you're all the way down, just make sure that you're not leaning forward because you do have a heavier weight now. Also, make sure you're breathing. Once again, if you don't have any dumbbells, you can just pick up any household item. I have some detergent over here, and get straight into that squat. Smells good too. The third exercise we'll be doing are hip thrusts. Hip thrust is an exercise that helps strengthen your glutes by using the hip extension movements. Training your glutes is so important, and many fear it because it may be too feminine. But underdeveloped glutes can compromise your speed, strength, and power. So train your glutes. Let's set up our hip thrust. So you want to grab a bench or even a chair and place yourself on it comfortably until your shoulder blades are on the edge of your stable surface. The reason why we are leaned up against something is that the tension will be solely on your glutes and not anywhere else. Therefore, it's the most effective glute exercise. So here, my knees and my legs are in a 90-degree angle, and you want to try to keep that throughout the whole movement. You get to the top and you squeeze your glutes, go back down, and then repeat. Drive back up. If you ever feel it in your quads and not enough in your glutes, you can always bring your feet a bit further out and try again. If you then feel it too much in your hamstrings, feel free to bring your feet closer to you and try again. Make sure to find that good balance. Let's try with a dumbbell and a bench for those who have access to a gym. Let's make sure we get in the same position that we talked about. And while you're going up, exhaling. While you're going down, you're inhaling. And you're making sure that you still have that neutral spine throughout the whole movement. Don't forget to squeeze at the top as well. And once again, if you don't have any weights at home, that's not a problem. Grab yourself a backpack, put some books inside. You can just set it on your lap like this and get to it. Our last exercise will be lunges, back lunges. So if you go back to our hip width starting position, you will take a step back and bend both knees until your back one is just above the ground. To get back up to your initial position, drive up with that back leg, and you can then continue with this leg or even alternate if you prefer. While stepping backwards into the lunge, you want to make sure that your stance isn't too narrow, like so. If not, it can cause imbalance, which may lead to injuries. Instead, try to have a wider stance, like so. Almost as if you're on train tracks and you want to keep them more spread out. When it comes to weighted lunges, I prefer having one in each hand. However, it is a personal preference. We go back to our starting position and we do what we practiced. Don't forget to breathe. Or water bottles. That concludes it for today. These 4 exercises are a key compound lift to any lower body workout, from beginners to advanced. And if throughout the whole video you did feel a bit of pain, make sure to seek a personal trainer to help you with your journey. See you next time!